Thank you so much for being here. As all of you know, this is a momentous occasion, historic occasion, one that's been years in the works. It's taken the hard work of many people, and many of you who helped make this happen are here today. There are a few people, before we get started, I want to recognize who've been important to making this happen. We have Congressman Ruben Hinojosa, if you'll please stand. Senator Juan Hinojosa. I think Bobby Villarreal is here on behalf of Judge Ramon Garcia. I know we have at least one mayor here, Chris Boswell from Harlingen. Dr. Fred Farias, who is on the Higher Education Coordinating Board. Gary Rodriguez is here on behalf of the city of FAR. Gary, thank you. Thank you. If you want to know how momentous an occasion this is, we have two of our board members here as well, and I'd like to recognize and ask that they stand. Regent Alizada, whom all of you know, and Regent Pejovich, who flew all the way from Dallas for this occasion. She's been a big supporter of ours even before she was a regent, when she was on the coordinating board. So she's just a long-time supporter of this institution. We appreciate your being here. And I also want to recognize the presidents of the interim presidents of the two legacy institutions who are here today. Bill Fannin, Dr. Bill Fannin, and Dr. Javidan Rodriguez, both of whom have been tremendous partners as we move forward. I'm sure there are people I've not recognized, but I want to thank all of you for what you've done. All of you, your work is what's made this important. First of all, I want to introduce our color guard. Master Sergeant John Bamba is here. Cadet Edgardo Ruiz. Cadet Andrew Villegas. Cadet Francisco Pena. Cadet Joel Galvan. And our national anthem will be performed by Miss Yesenia Guerrero. Oh, here, thank you, thank you. At this time, I want to recognize the Chancellor of the University of Texas system. Usually when you have a chancellor come into a system, this is the biggest thing that the person has ever run. It's not true with our chancellor. Our chancellor has run a much bigger organization. His importance to us as a country when he was Admiral McRaven rather than Chancellor McRaven can hardly be understated. And this was driven home to me on Saturday. I was watching the Smithsonian Channel, which tells you what a great social life I lead. And the Smithsonian Channel had a special on the hunt for bin Laden. The role of our chancellor in this was just truly remarkable. He was featured in there. And that tells you something about our chancellor. But what this has done more than anything is given him a global perspective. As much as anybody, he understands the importance locally of this institution, but the impact that it can have globally. He's been our biggest supporter since he's been here. And it's my great pleasure to have him here today. Chancellor McRaven. At this time, our color guard can proceed and we'll have our flag raising.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
First, what a fabulous day, and let me begin really by thanking Guy Bailey, Havidan, and Bill, and the entire staff at UTRGV for putting this together. As you know, I came on board about 8 months ago, and I've been watching Guy and his team pull together what I think we thought 8 months ago would have been an incredibly tough task, but Guy, with incredible persistence and determination, dug into it, and today, Guy, this is your day. So I want to congratulate you and your staff for the great work you've done. I also want to recognize Senator Chuy Hinojosa and Representative Hinojosa. Your support for this effort down here in the Valley has been unmatched, and gentlemen, we would not be here today without your incredible support, along with that of the great folks here in the Valley. And I realize how complicated this was, pulling together 2 schools and starting a new university. And I give tremendous credit not only to the elected officials that we have, but to everybody in the Valley that came together for this. I'd also like to thank 2 folks that are not here today. Former Chairman of the Board of Regents, Gene Powell, and my predecessor, Francisco Cigarroa. 2 men who at the University of Texas system and at the Board of Regents really saw this vision many years ago. And from their hard work and from their effort, really we are here today from the Regents and from the system standpoint because of Gene and Cisco. And I know they will be recognized in a couple of months for their efforts, but I did want to make sure that their contribution was recognized today as well. And Guy mentioned Brenda Pejovich. She has been a long-time supporter of this. And Brenda, it is great to have you here today. And of course, Ernie Aliceta, really the Valley's regent for us. And Ernie, we could not be prouder than to have you here today to represent all the great folks in the Valley. And I also do want to recognize Pedro Reyes, the former Executive Vice Chancellor of the University of Texas system. Pedro, you were the guy doing all the stubby pencil work, the liaison with Guy Bailey, the hard work that had to be done in Austin, and I want to recognize your contributions as well. Thank you so very much. You know, about a year and a half ago, April a year and a half ago, Gene Powell, at the time as the Vice Chancellor of the University of Texas, came to visit me in Tampa. And they were talking to me about potentially taking the job as Chancellor. And there were a lot of things about the job that interested me, but frankly, nothing more than what could have been done at the Valley. I think as most of you know, I'm a San Antonio boy. I spent a fair amount of time in the Valley growing up. And when Gene talked, I could see his passion about bringing together the strengths of a Brownsville and the strengths of a Pan Am and the strengths of the Regional Academic Health Center, and then add to that a medical school and how it could fundamentally change the Valley. And when you look at where we are going, the only thing that will stop us is the imagination and the effort. If we put forth the imagination and if we put forth the effort, there is nothing that can continue to stop this university from moving in the right direction. But today is just the beginning. And we will have to work every day, every week, every month, every year to continue to improve what we're starting today. What we do here today will change the social fabric of the Valley. It will make us stronger, healthier, more productive, and more tolerant. You know, today when you watch TV, you see that we are plagued around the world with intolerance, with bigotry, with hatred, with fear. Education can overcome all of these and really create an enlightened society. President James Madison once said that the advancement and diffusion of knowledge, is the only guardian of true liberty. Well, today is the beginning of the future. And if you think about it, 100 years from now, Texans will look back and say that this day changed Texas forever. Thank you all very much for joining us here today. And Guy, thank you again for your work.
We couldn't have a more passionate advocate for higher education in the Valley. We are indeed fortunate to have him. Senator Hinojosa, I'd like to invite you to come forward, please. I think you have something to read. Chancellor, you may want to come forward here too. Chancellor.
Thank you so much. You know, I always talk about education being the best equalizer we have in our society. Education gives you knowledge. Knowledge gives you power, the power to succeed. And for us, Pan American has been a great place for us to get an education here in the Valley, creating a middle class, creating an educated class. For those of us who are farm workers who cannot afford to travel out of the Valley to get an education. And I want to thank the pioneers who first set up Pan American College in 1927. As the community continued to support and push, and then in 1989, it became Pan American University. And now, it's a new day, a day full of opportunities. And I want to thank all the staff of Pan American, the administration, the students, the community leadership that's making this happen. A true reality of a medical school, for a new university, and a greater future for all of us here in Texas. And Chancellor McRaven and President Bailey, on behalf of the Texas Senate, would like to present you with a resolution honoring and thanking those before us who made this possible as we look into the future and a new day for education. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You know, I know it's hot, and I was telling Admiral McRaven, it was hotter in Vietnam and much hotter in Afghanistan and Pakistan. Welcome to Valley weather.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I know it is warm. If you'd allow me to say one thing, just on a personal note, before we end here. 2 years ago today, I was sitting in a hospital room in Birmingham, Alabama, watching my wife in her last 36 hours of her life. And at that time, I thought, I've done everything that I want to do. I'm just going to retire. There's nothing else. It was all over for me too, really. A few weeks after that, my daughter sat down with me. She said, "Dad, you need to find something that you can be as passionate about as you were about Jan. What can you really put your heart into? And what can you do that's going to be important?" A few weeks after that, I received a phone call about this position. And it has been one of the great honors of my life to be part of it. I want to thank all of you for allowing me to be part of this. What's happening here is the most important thing in American higher education today. You're going to look back 10 years from now and realize that we did things that nobody else could do, that nobody else did. And it's an honor for me to be part of it. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for allowing me to be part of it. Thank you.